what is going on, he went ahead to give good attention to what is going on at that point in time, and that is in Exodus chapter 3. And then when Moses went ahead to catch the glimpse of this great sight, then we heard God speaking out from the burning bush unto Moses and dishing out word of knowledge that is required for him to come to a full potentials of his life. This was a man that was busy following the flocks, was busy tending to flock of Jethro, and he thought that was the best that he could probably acquire, or the best that he can achieve in life. But because of a singular act of paying attention to a strange event that was going on around him, Moses received word of knowledge which actually transformed his life. God is making us to understand that for every strange event that is happening around us as children of God, it is a signal for us to know that God is calling upon our attention to receive word of knowledge that will lead into our powerful transformation, that will lead us into our coming into full potentials of God's expectations for our life. And I want to quickly say at this particular point that few days ago, in the place of trance, God actually opened my eyes into seeing some of the strategy that the enemy is using at a time like this for the children of God to not to really understand and receive what God is actually dishing out for us to attain our full potential at this point in time. And then the strategy was the same that Pharaoh used against the children of Israel when Moses got to the palace of Pharaoh, and then he requested that the children of Israel be released to go and worship God. And Bible makes us to understand in verse 6 that Pharaoh commanded the taskmaster of the children of Israel that their labor should be increased. He said it is because they are idle. That is why they remember to worship God. That is why they are being called upon to go and worship the Lord. This is a way that the enemy is using at this point in time to shift the focus of God's children from seeing or from understanding that God is calling upon our attention at this particular time to receive some word of knowledge that God is dishing out at this time for the manifestation and the transformation of people's life. We must understand that God is making effort to catch our attention for the greater good, the enemy is also creating diversions in form of a profitable business to shift our focus away from what God is calling our attention to know during this time. As God is making effort to make us see what is required for us to really receive the knowledge that is required for us to enter into a place of full manifestation of our potentials, the enemy is also creating a diversion in form of a business, and is taking some people into some business that is making them to lose focus on the things that actually matters for our life, to enjoy the potentials that God has actually created inside of us. And if we are to look at it vividly well, we'll see so many distractions that the enemy is actually bringing up at this point in time that is really catching our attention, instead of us to pay attention to what God is dishing out at this point in time. I want you to understand that at this point in time, God is opening up people's destiny into coming to full manifestation of their full potentials. At this point in time, people are receiving insight, knowledge from God that is leading people into accomplishment of their full potentials. But so many children of God are actually lost focus at this point in time due to diversions that the enemy is creating. The enemy is creating diversion in form of baseless pursuit of riches, baseless pursuit of wealth, and all of that. The enemy is creating some diversion in form of immoral entertainment that has taken over our media at this point in time, and the enemy is diverting our attention, our focus from the things that matter, even with religious activities. You can imagine you everywhere is filled up, especially even when people, we are asked not to due to the global pandemic, to observe virtual meetings, and then even worship is being done through virtual means. So the enemy has actually turned this even into a jamboree at some point, in order to make some of God's children to lose focus of what God is actually calling our attention to. And this is what God actually placed on my mind a few days ago. And God is calling our attention that we must get away from the grip of these satanic distractions that is going on around the world, and then we must create quality time to seeking our Maker in order for us to receive the word of knowledge, and then go ahead to apply them in order for us to enter into a place of full manifestation of our potentials. This is the message of God at this point in time. And by the grace of God, come the next fortnight, by the grace of God, we are going to elaborately open us up to see the operations of this knowledge, of this wisdom that we are talking about. We are going to make us to see why God has actually moved in this direction of making people to come into the manifestation of their expectations in this way of kingdom principle. I want to believe that God has actually ministered unto your heart through this broadcast. And I know that as this broadcast is coming out, God is opening our heart into things that matters. And God is opening up destinies in order for us to reach our full potential. It is my prayer this morning that as the word of God has actually come forth, it shall mix with faith in our heart. And as it is mixing with faith in our heart, word of God shall have a place of abode in our heart. And then we shall have the grace to make use of the word of God for our transformation. In Jesus Christ's name, I have prayed. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you for listening to Voice of Wisdom with Simeon Ajayi. You can follow on Instagram at IAMDESIMEONY. I am the Simeoni, and on Twitter at SIMMY_TWE at SimiT. Remember, wisdom is the principal thing. Get understanding.